Now then, General, just game changer. So let's have a little scanny. So first thing to look at is your placement. Absolutely fantastic. Everything's all pushed out. Small glimmer there that you could maybe just spawn on, but you know, end of the day, I wouldn't want to probably spawn under or in front of a mine, so you can probably get away with that. But you know, if you want to be critical, you know, there's an area you could get into your base quicker. I guess if you could launch on that, you could maybe get something like I mean, I haven't got the GMLRS yet, but I have got the M270s. That probably could get me in range of your big gun there. Um, they look more impressive than they are, as you can imagine. But obviously, give that a few whacks, and you obviously getting it out. But I mean, what I would probably watch out for is size of base could be one issue. I mean, you'd have to watch your replay videos to be on the safe side. The fact you've got two peacemakers, I think it's obviously you count as what I'm going to say. But if you were, I think, to have some sort of issue, I think I would probably come at you from this section here, probably with the tank first, then the M270s, and I'd be hoping that the tank would be distracting the peacemaker and of course the salvo. In fact, no, I could probably get past the salvo. So yeah, I'm just going to get rained on a little bit with a peacemaker while I take out your war factory with the M270s. You've got a flak there. I mean, I think what I would probably do is I'd bring that flak further back into those turrets, and maybe even bring your peacemaker back into this sort of area here. I'm always trying to look on a base to kind of keep it small, because my thought on this setup, although it's strong, if I take these three turrets here in the war factory, this side doesn't even know I'm at it. I mean, it'd be harder to take these guys out, as you can imagine. You know, there's obviously a lot of things are going to hit you all at once, which is really what it's all about. So if you took the concept what you've got here, where everything hits you all at once, and applied that to the base in general, what that would suggest is your base becomes smaller. Now, if you think logically, helicopters fly over walls, so why they need to be inside walls is my thought. The airport there, again, everything flies out of it, so that can quite happily sit outside the base, absolutely no problem. I mean, putting it there, I guess, does give you a tight perimeter, you know, for these planes overhead. So I do get where you're coming from. Same with the war factory, you know, sorry, not war factory, sorry, my apologies. The power station there, again, I think that could be outside the walls, you know, equally, and certainly the Thor mine and your metal mines and things like that. They can be outside the walls again for me. So I'd reduce the size of the walls if you can. Any mine placement, I mean, you've got to consider now the range of the weapons that people are using are longer. I suspect what you're thinking there is if you place the mines in that area, anybody trying to attack your big guns and things is going to have a little bit of bother. But if you look at that mine placement there, you're probably already going to be in the base before that one affects you. And if you consider the things that you'd be underneath for that mine, so if that mine's going to be an issue for you, you're probably underneath the turrets anyway. So I mean, you could risk it. You have got, if you think about it, potentially quite a patch there where, you know, if you can get underneath, if you can get in there, then you're pretty much safe. Yes, you've got to contend with the big boy, and you've got to contend with the machine gun, but because you've got quite a lot of up and over weapons together, that does create a bit of a safe zone, a little bit of an oasis in the middle of the base that perhaps you could exploit. So maybe spreading out those might be key. I mean, you've certainly got overlap with that, and you've got overlap with that, so be interesting. You probably won't know until you attacked it, you know, so you may well have already thought these things through. But it's all about the thinking, isn't it? It's all about kind of, you know, looking for a way to exploit it. But my personal way of attacking your base, I would imagine, would be that I would probably come at you from this side here, take out your war factory, take out the the Peacemaker, take out the Salvo, and then I'm pretty much safe from this side of the base, because there's not going to be much that takes me out from that side if I'm coming at you from this sort of direction. So what I would possibly propose that you would look at, how about if you swap the War Factory for the big gun, the heavy platform, put the heavy platform into that corner, because it fires over the walls, doesn't it? And that would give you quite a nice radius and protection from this side and around that, and meanwhile it would give you a heavy gun quite a bit of protection as well, which you know, obviously means that's going to be harder to take out. I'd certainly reduce the size of your base overall and try and bring these walls in a bit, and then you've probably got more overlap with each turret and things along that sort of line. And again, maybe just think about what needs to be in the base, what doesn't need to be in the base, and have a reduced wall structure. Maybe just place the mines a little bit further out as well. I'll try and have the mind where I think people are going to come from. Certainly on your base, you're going to have to travel to get into it. So have a little think about where the mines would be, where people are going to be parked, obviously when they shoot at you, and things along that sort of line. Also, the other little thing I would look at, I mean, you know yourself, if your walls touch, when your vehicles deploy, when your troops deploy, they don't spill out through the gaps in the wall. At the moment, if I were to stand over here and park, then all your defence would actually come to meet me, and then I can finish it off without fear of getting hit by a turret. That does give you obviously difficulty with time, because you've got to do 100% completion of the base before obviously you win nowadays. But nevertheless, you know, the holes in the walls do, you know, what I call leakage of your defence, which then can be picked off one by one. Whereas if you tighten up your walls and keep your troops and your vehicles within inside the wall, that acts almost like an extra turret. And when the walls break, it's like a dam bursting and everything comes at you all at once. So mostly you've got everything absolutely bang on. It's very easy to critique a base from the outside until you attack it and you don't quite know all the dynamics of it. But yeah, I think there's a few things you could maybe look at doing different. Have a look at your replay video, see if that adds up to what I'm thinking. If you find other people thinking that the same way, then obviously adapt accordingly. But yeah, I would certainly swap War Factory for the big gun, and then reduce the size, and I think you'll find that potentially more effective. Cheers, bro.